So M20 is not yet released fully in paper, but on MTGA it's already in full force, and it's rocking some socks in terms of what it is capable of. Some cool cards have come out, some really powerful stuff, and I want to show a revised version of a list that I gave you a couple days ago. This one is refined down to Rakdos colors, black and red. It really can put the pressure on your opponent early. It cycles very well, it plays out of the graveyard, and it really crushes. So here it is. This is the list that I've temporarily called Blood for Pwns, and you can crush me for that later. All right, so Blood for Pwns. What's the strategy of it and what's in it? Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filling up the graveyard, and then with cheat cards like Blood for Bones and a Bond of Revival, we're going to go ahead and get out some big boys and really put the pressure on the opponent, and hopefully there's not many answers. Now, obviously, like every other deck out there, there are weaknesses and there are strengths. You know, you're going to be favored in some matches and probably not favored in others. So pick and choose what the meta's like for you, but we're going to go through the cards and I'll tell you what to do. All right, so right off the bat, I have 4 Stitcher Suppliers. Stitcher Suppliers are, you know, your one drop that's going to help you fill the graveyard. If these die, great. They can sit back and pretty much play defense and chump block attackers to keep you in the game and also fill that graveyard with the bigger creatures. 4 Rick's Matty Revelers, cycling the cards out, getting what you need in the graveyard to get in the graveyard. I have 2 Lightning Strikes. These are pretty easy for you know, just spot checking you know, your opponent's early game creatures, and also if your opponent has you know, a planeswalker that goes minus right off the bat, things like Narset or whatnot. Narset's a pain in the ass. Lightning Strike can deal with Narset. 4 Tormenting Voices to, again, fill the graveyard and cycle. 2 Angrath's Rampage, and this is kind of a universal card over here because sometimes your opponent might not have I played early on with Cast Down in this and took them out, but Angrath's Rampage early game, whether it be a Teferi, whether it be something like a Steamkin or a Thief of Sanity or whatnot, you'll be able to do what you need to do. All right, 1 single Rotting Regisaur. Now, you played with more earlier on, but I think that just the 1 is enough here. It's not your main engine, but it's also good for dropping down on turn 3, putting some big time pressure on your opponent, as well as being able to go ahead on your upkeep, discarding the cards you don't want in hand. I have 4 Bedevils, 3 times Blood for Bones, 4 times Bond of Revival, and here are the big boys: 4 Itali Primal Storms and 4 Drakuseths. Now, depending on the situation, more often than not, you want Drakuseth to be what you revive, but you have a turn 4 cheat and a turn 5 cheat with haste. Both of these are fantastic. So the standard land package over here, unfortunately no Rakdos Scrylands to help you out, but this is still pretty damn good. All right, so how does this work? Easy peasy. You want to pretty much, the perfect hand in this would be like 2 or 3 lands, Stitcher Supplier, something like Tormenting Voice or Rick's Mahdi, as well as one of your big boys and like a Bond of Revival. You want to start the cycle going where you're going to be filling up your graveyard with things like Stitcher Supplier, but also Tormenting Voice, Rick's Mahdi Reveler are going to help you spot those big cards like Drakuseth and Itali Primal Storm from your hand, toss them in the graveyard so that on turn 4, if you have a Stitcher Supplier or a Rick's Mahdi Reveler on the board, you Blood for Bones and you're good. If not, what do? You go with Bond of Revival to get them out of the graveyard on turn 5 with haste, and then it's game over, at least usually. Now, there are going to be some instances where your opponent might hit you with, 4 Thought Erasures in a row. I see Vraska's Contempt is kind of making a reappearance here and there. I have bumped into Ashiok off a sideboard, which is scary. But I will show you that sideboard. This is the main deck for this. You can go ahead and clear some units early with Lightning Strike or Angrath's Rampage. Bedevil is a universal removal. Nothing really that you can deal with things like enchantments or whatnot, but you should be able to plow through any type of enchantment that's giving you problems. Obviously, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world when there's an enchantment that's busting you down, but hopefully by turn 4 or 5, you're really putting the screws to your opponent with this. Now let's go to the sideboard here, and I'll show you what it looks like. The sideboard has 3 Duresses, because this is what you need to do when you're playing against Esper. You need to play some Duress. 4 Noxious Grasp, and again, green or white. Nissa, Teferi, Tameo. There's so many really oppressive planeswalkers out there that are going to need to be removed. Also, what else is green and white, or green or white that's a problem? Well, you have things like Lyra or Hydroid Krasis. There's a lot of problem creatures out there, and planeswalkers that Noxious Grasp just immediately gets rid of. Lava Coil, because people are going to be playing maybe Phoenixes or something against you, or playing some cards that are going to be a pain in the ass. Not to mention, this is a set, this is kind of a meta now where the graveyard matters, so playing Lava Coil to get things off the board completely and never to be seen again in exile is a good thing. Cry of the Carnarium. Now you can honestly, you can pack Cry of the Carnarium to just deal with decks that go wide, aggro decks. It does help, but at the same time, if you can do this in a cheeky way by lightning striking and then Cry of the Carnarium, or pairing it up with a Lava Coil or something, it helps. It definitely helps. Now I have 2 Command the Dreadhordes in here for longer games that might go crazy. If you can get this out, fine. The sideboard is still a work in progress, and this is just, this is not a tier 1 deck. I'm not trying to give you like a secret weapon to make it to Mythic. This is just something that I've been playing with and having a lot of fun. It's had success against red burn decks. It's had success against Simic decks, against elemental decks as well. Pretty much anything that isn't putting the screws to you from a control perspective. Esper still poses a threat, because if they suspect your Bond of Revival early, they're going to save either a Dovin's Veto, a Negate, or something on that to be a problem. Now, you have enough here to cheat it out, and worst case scenario is you just collect enough mana to drop one of these guys on their own, and hopefully you're going to be good. Just cross your fingers that, I know Esper is everywhere, but that's your toughest matchup, but you should do fine in most other matchups. This is the deck right here. Again, we're going to go through it real quick. I have 4 Stitcher Suppliers, 4 Rix Mighty Revelers, 2 Lightning Strikes, 4 Tormenting Voices, 2 Angrath's Rampage, 4 Bedevils, the single Soul Angry Rotting Regisaur, 3 Blood for Bones, 4 Bond of Revivals, 4 Itali Primal Storms, 4 Dracutheth, Maw of Flames, and your sideboard 3 Duress, 4 Noxious Grasp, 3 Lava Coils, 3 Cry of the Carnariums, and 2 Command the Dreadhordes. So again, sideboard, definitely a work in progress, but that's the deck, folks. Let me know how you think about it and how it functions for you. Here's the list again, just so you guys can take a last look at it. Thanks again, everybody, for the kind words. If you have any suggestions for it, if you want to see how it's working out for you, or just give me your thoughts, please go ahead and read all the comments. It's always great to have your feedback. If it's positive and constructive, I want to read it. So thank you so much for watching. Drop your comments here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button as well. It goes so far for me. You can catch me Monday to Friday streaming Magic, usually in the evenings, if not at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Usually I'm streaming something, so catch me there. Thanks again, everybody. Be kind to one another. Talk to you very soon. Adios.